Welcome back to the shop. It's been a little bit, but we've got the headstock plate glued in place and it's looking great. It's just square, so we've got to trim that so it doesn't look like crap. I'm not sure I can go at it from this way, but I'm going to put in a few. Just got my little fret saw. I'm going to take very, very light cuts here. If I can get it to do a light cut here. There we go. And I'm just going to come straight in to give us a couple of relief zones here. Try to keep it fairly close. I'm going to try to come in here and just trim it gently and as close to the mahogany as I dare without making too much of a risk that I overshoot it and hit the mahogany, because that would make me angry and say dirty words. That's not bad. So you see it's proud all the way around, and that's perfectly fine. I'll get in there with the next steps are to get in there with the rasps and the files and clean them up, clean it nice and flush. It's all flush. Need to get the peg holes drilled for it, the tuning machines, to drill out the ebony. So I've got a block super tightly clamped to it, and we'll just use the original hole as my guide, and hopefully drill relatively straight. I hope I didn't ream that out too badly. So this is all a lesson of operations, order of operations. Let's make sure I didn't get any tear out. Oh yeah, that's good. That'll work. Because the tear out would be bad. But yeah, this is a lesson in order of operations, because if I had been doing this right, I should have had these. I should have the headstock plate in place before the neck got glued on, because trimming it like that was kind of a pain, and doing this part here, the drilling, while it was on the guitar, was also a pain. We should be okay, I hope, with this. We'll see. I think it's doing all right. We'll go grab the tuners and see how well they did. No, I didn't have any tear out on the ebony, which is what I was shooting to do, and that's good. And I think my headstock's a bit thick, but we'll find out. I'm going to grab the tuning machine and we'll see. Okay, so I went and put the headstock together. This is the, it's easier if I just stand there, I guess. That's with all the tuning machines in it. I've still got to get them aligned. They're not really square, really, the way they should be, I don't think. But that is the headstock plate shaped. And pretty damn cool looking, I'd say. Looks pretty good. And the more I look at it, the more I love it. Yeah, when that gets a finish on it, that's going to look fantastic, is what that's going to look. Fantastic. Okay, so we're clamped up nicely. I'm going to use a marking gauge here. The plans call for the headstock to be 5/8 thick. So I'm going to set my marking gauge to, yeah. So now we're set at 5/8, and I'm going to, yeah, we're about a 1/16 heavy, so yeah, we can lose a little. I'm going to mark all around for the most part. Not all of it, because I don't want to have to go all the way down there, but okay. Just mark along the end here. Yeah, it's about a 32nd right there. So there's some taper yet too, so this is a chance to make it parallel once again. Okay, and I'm going to hog this stuff with the spoke shave here real fast. Got my curved one and my flat ones here. This is something I probably should have done sooner and should have taken into account. This is my complete and total noviceness. That doesn't like this at all. We're going to go with this one instead. No, the grain's going the wrong way for this job. We gotta go that way, huh? Yes, we do. Okay, well, I'm just gonna sort of mess around. I should have done this sooner. I should have had this measured right. It's something I noticed when I came back, and then when I put the headstock plate on, I had noticed the thickness was off a ways, and I think I can still use the flat one for this task. And so I needed to repair that anyway, so. I think that's a lot better now. Lots better than it was, and it's about the right thickness now for the size headstock we've got here. Smooth some of these sides a little, just a tiny bit. I know, Gabriel. I know. Use a sanding block. I know. How do you do a sanding block on these, actually, Gabriel? Mostly to Gabriel, but to anybody. The wisdom is use a sanding block all the time. Now, how would you use a sanding block on contours like this? Like, I get here, flat makes sense, but on this that's an inside curve, do you make a whole bunch of little inside curve sanding blocks that fit here? And then on the volute area or down in the bout, how do you use a block on those? I can't see it, man. And I want to learn. I'm willing to learn. Teach me, please. I'm curious. Because to me, on the organic shape stuff, it's hard to use a small, it's hard to predefine the block, where you're kind of fudging stuff here and there a little bit, you know? Ya know? So, pleased to be shedding some light there. How do you do the sanding block on stuff like this? I'm pleased with this. This looks great. I'm very happy, actually. Quite happy. So, I'm calling this side done. The back of the headstock that's pretty much staying at that shape. All right, I'm gonna switch out the 150 grit here for the 220. I love this sanding block. I should get more. The sanding block is called a prepping weapon. My buddy Dave will like the name. Will like the fanfare, even though Dave doesn't watch my videos. Not this Dave. Different Dave. This Dave's the better Dave. the other Dave loves the Prep and Weapon. Just very light, very light. I'm just getting the roughness off the surface. Don't want to sand through my painstakingly applied veneer inlay here. But yeah, that's one completed headstock, I think. Alright, we're on to the next phase of operations. There we go. That looks really nice from there. It's a good shot of that. I like that look. So the next bit is the nut. Got to have a nut for the strings to sit on, right? So I've got this piece. People have been asking and I haven't fully decided. I'm going to try this. It may or may not sound like poop. If it sounds like poop, I'll try something else. But this is a 1/4 inch thick piece of corian, you know, like countertop material. I've heard of people using them and they work fine. We're going to find out whether or not they'll work fine for me or not. I'm going to hold this up. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut. The weirdness is it can't be a 1/4 inch thick and be tall. It's not tall enough to use the 1/4 inch thickness for the top. So what I've got to do is stand it up. And in order to stand it up, I need to cut a strip this length, or this width, the width of the nut here. And then I'm going to have to shrink it. I'm going to have to thin it down a little bit, but that's not a big deal. It planes and scrapes just fine. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to make a slight rough marking here that is basically the rough width of the nut. And then I'm going to take a square. Okay, so I took a square, marked a line across there. So we're going to go to the bandsaw real quick, slice this off. Nothing to it. So here's my overly thick nut blank that's going to go right in here after I thin it down. I need it to be 3/16. 1/4 inch is just too fat. So I'm going to take this to another vise or two. I'm going to get a hold of it so I can plane it flat, plane it smoothly, and hopefully get it good and parallel to 3/16 or so thickness. Okay, so I've got different jaws in this vise. We'll use this vise for it. And I'm going to run some Sharpie along the side of this blank and treat this like, oh, you know what I should do? I totally should use the mill for this. I'm gonna totally doing the mill for this. Okay, I just made up my mind. Alright, I got the piece of corian here on a set of parallels in the vise of the milling machine. It makes perfect sense to use it as the planing gauge or jig thing to make these cuts. Corian should machine really well, I think. I've got some schmutz on my cutter, but that's okay. It's because I'm a terrible machinist. You don't want to see more than what you can already. It's pretty messy. So what I'm going to do is I've got a scribe line here. That'll get me in the ballpark, and then I'll start measuring. So I've got the mill ready to go. I'm going to touch off real quick here and get us closer. Get some speed going here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna make this real careful so I can really try to touch off nicely. I'm gonna put a little spot here, and when I see that disappear, I know I'm close. Okay, so there's our nut, or at least our final thickness nut. So we're going to take this over and lap it nice and flat on this side, and we'll call that dimensional. Okay, so we've got our nut blank here. We need to lap it smooth, and I have this fancy little drawer I don't think I've ever shown anybody, but this is my insane sharpening. Pay no attention to this number here. This is my insane sharpening setup. On one tray is my sharpening stones, some of my sharpening stones, some. On the other is this nice flat, well, when it's not covered in schmutz, nice and flat granite surface plate. A little bit of 220 grit wet dry, I think that's 220, yeah. Wet dry sandpaper, so I'm just going to set that on my flat granite block, take that machine surface here, can you see this? Yeah, you can see that, and just do this. So there, now both sides are very smooth and flat, and we're ready to call this ready to get set for sizing, for fitting. Okay, so we've got our nut blank here. And we've got the neck set in a very helpful position to mark for cutting out the slot that this has to go into. And I want it fairly snug. I don't want it I don't want it real loose. Hopefully I can avoid it being sloppy, because nobody likes a sloppy nut. I'm gonna let that one just hover there in the air. Wow. Wow, I've stunned myself with lameness. So I'm going to put this into there. I just need to cut the ebony bit out enough to slip the nut down into, and then we can work out final heights and all of that happy stuff. So I'm going to bring you guys in closer and let you see this a bit better. Okay, so this is where we're going. We're going to put the nut right in here. So what I'm going to try, this is all complete experiment at this point for me, which is a little scary on this, but I'm going to hold this against where it's going, against the top of the fretboard, because that is the 0 point, and just get it there. And then I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take this away, and I'm going to take my marking knife and gently scribe where I need it to cut. And I'm going to do a few scribes here so it's definitely unmistakable. And there's where my nut's got to go. And now I have to figure out how the hell I'm going to cut that. Alright, no turning back now. Let's start this cut. Chicken. No, I'm just going to do it. Just going to do it. Anything that messes up, I can fix it. That's all there is to that. I'll fix whatever happens. Here we go. First pull. I'm making sure I stay vertical and basically perpendicular to the fretboard. Oh, I went way off to the side there, didn't I? Okay. I can do better than that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, we're in it now, so I can pay more attention to staying vertical here. Actually, mostly perpendicular here. Just make sure I only cut ebony. I don't want to hit any of that mahogany. It's almost through that. There we go. It's through it. This is definitely not going to fit. Yeah, it's definitely too big, which is perfect because now I can file this to fit. So I can turn off these really hot lights so I don't have sweat problems. And I can grab my teeny file set, and this is going to be slow going, but for sure definitely necessary. Okay, so I've got these little dinky files, and I've got my move my position here just a little. I've got my my blank, and we'll just keep filing until we get things in there. Alright, so I just went, I might as well show you what I did here. So where's the other one? Now, I have two of these files. I seem to have set the other one down somewhere, but okay. So this is what they normally look like, is just there's teeth on this edge. There's teeth on the face and there's teeth on the edge here. On this side, you can see it's shiny. I just ground all those teeth off and made a safe edge so I can use it to grind or file away at this without worrying about messing up the deepening of the slot without making it any deeper. And this will give me the best possible outcome, I think. Alright, it looks like it took a little while. It's in there. It seats beautifully. Seats down fully flush on both sides. It's way taller than I need it, which is perfect because that way I can cut this to shape the way I need it to be. And there's the nut inserted. Okay, we've got the nut seated in there very well now. And we can do a quick little contour mark. So I've got this pencil here. This pencil looks like an ordinary pencil, right? Except, other than being short, except it's been sanded flat on one side, almost to the very center of the sharp point, and it registers on these two frets, just like this. And so now I can use this with the nut seated and just mark my radius. And this gives me a rough, do not fall below this line, to rough trim my curve to shape. So you see the curve, the arc of the nut there. This we'll do by hand with a fret saw. Just wiggle this out of there. There, and there's the size and shape of the nut right there. You got, I'll go about a 1/16 away from that surface, around from that line, and then we'll proceed with the next steps. Okay, now we've got our coping saw here. We'll just a little ways away from our line. We'll start a cut to rough shape here. Hopefully that leaves enough for the action. I'm going to find out. Flip it around here and finish the cut. And there's the rough curve. See if I can't grab onto it this way with this thing. Let's see if this will do. We'll just file it smooth on top. Stuff gums up a file pretty quick though, huh? And I'm going to give this a little bevel this way because the string needs to seat at this side of the nut anyway. So the more of that out of the way that it is already in place, the better. We can send the body in here again. Bring the body back for you. Or the neck, the headstock anyway. There we go. Like so. There we are. And so now the there we go. Yeah, that should still have plenty of room for slotting and getting strings on it. Okay, this was all to get this 0 point because this is where the scale length originates from. It would help if I had audio, wouldn't it? So all of that was a bunch of chicken shit me going, I need to reclaim access to the truss rod adjustment. There's a little pocket right there, remember? And I forgot where the number was, but it's about 7/8 or close to it. And we're gonna drill a hole, see where we land. There it is. And I think we hit metal there. So we just barely clipped it. And so that means I can come back a little on the same location, but I'm still going to put a punch mark there because I know how drilling happens sometimes. I'm going to come back a full 1/4 inch and do another hole. Ooh, see, that's why we do the punching. And this second hole should give me enough to get a chisel in there to connect the two holes. And then we can continue from there. There we go. I think I can take one more. And I'm going to try it. Because I live dangerously. You didn't know that about me, but I do. One more nice little hole, but that's about 1/8 away instead of 1/4. That should be safe. Yes, it is. So hindsight would be that I should probably get a lot of this stuff in place before I get to this stage. This access should have been done. The headstock plate should have been on already. But, you know, first time doing this style of thing, so we're learning. So I'm going to find some chisels and we're going to get in there and clean that out. Okay, we're going to Try to be very, very careful here and not go nuts with this. We got nice sharp chisel, and we're just gonna pound our way down to it, and I'm deliberately avoiding that last hole for the moment because I'm trying to give myself like a little backstop here to keep from popping all the way through things. So it's a good thing my chisel is nice and sharp. And then I'm going to come to that hole next. This is going to take the mallet and we're just gradually work our way down to that spot. We know it goes triangular shape and it gets widest down here, so we've got room to mess around with on this side, but we got to be careful we don't do a bunch of things. We don't want to get in a hurry. We don't want to dig too deeply too quickly. Honestly, should be using my 1/8 inch chisel for this to really take good care of this, but I'm living on the edge, so yeah, we're gonna come at it from this direction here. Little bevel down action here, because I know I'm very near the end on this side. I like it a lot, and the 4mm goes right in, is very comfortable. Yeah, that'll work beautifully. Sure. It's even got room. Okay. Now, we may as well put this little bugger's screws in place at least. Alright, let's do that. That's the next thing. Alright, so I've still got center marked right here on the end of the fretboard, and this peak actually represents the center there, so I'm just going to butt against there, open it up to that point, and we're going to call that the center line once more. This is the last mark for the center line I'm going to do. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now we can take our cover plate, not quite original, but that's okay, and we can mark for the holes. The closer it is to the nut, the better, I think, but I want to give myself some room if I change the shape of the nut. Right there looks delectable. Right there. I'm just going to take this thing I threw on the floor just now and readjust, reposition, right like that. There's one. And there it is in the center. Okay. You know we're getting close when we're starting to put on these little finishing touches, huh? Getting exciting. Alright. So now I got a drill for those. Okay. Tiny little 1/16 inch drill. This one can't go real deep. I hit mahogany. I may have hit the truss rod steel as well. Okay, that hole wandered just a little tiny bit. Try to avoid that with this one. This one can get pretty darn deep, but we got to make sure we don't drill through, which we did not, thankfully. You want to talk about making some cussing sounds, that would have made some noise right there. Okay, those should be good enough pilot holes. I'm going to go grab the screws for the plate and try this. Hey, we got some little tiny screws. Teeny tiny screws. I'll show you here, one sec. Finger for scale. Those little guys. Those are tiny screws. Hopefully I can drive them without wrecking nothing. And that the pilot hole I gave it is enough. Let's find out here. Let's try to be careful. Yeah, these are going to be plenty long. They might actually be too long. Hopefully not. The real trouble is getting them to start. There we go. Now we're started. I might want somewhat bigger. No, it's doing okay. I just have to be very careful. There it goes. Now it's cutting in there. Now I'm digging into the... ooh, that broke. Okay, come back. Come back. The ebony is a bit snug, so I'm going to come back with a slightly larger drill. One size up, maybe two sizes up. Now be very more careful, very more careful. I'm going to end up taking this all off eventually, but I can't help it. This has to go on now. I think I got them a little close together, but I think I can make it work. Come on, Bubba. There we go. Got it started. There. And that is a plate. The cover plate is on. Ain't that shit cool? This is a little premature, but I can't help it. Yeah, that's pretty damn neat. See if I can clock them. Clock them straight across like that, straight up and down across the center line. And then a nut goes on that I just dropped on the floor. This goes here. Ooh, it's tight now. We'll reach in there real quick. There's a tiny little overlap is all. Now the nut can go in. There. That's on. And tubing machines can go on. And it looks like a finished headstock. Boy, that's cool. Boy, that's cool. Alright, that's going to be enough for today, I think. It's almost 7. Yeah, But check that out. That is the headstock is nearly complete. Nearly complete. Cool.